Hello, family. We're back with a shot of E&J podcast. My name is Jeremy Anato-Mensah. I'm here with my co-host, Eric Igwe, and the lovely Tracy Scott.
Yes.
So, Igwe, first, though, we got to give a shout out to our studio.
Come on. We got to give a shout out to the amazing team. So, Hit Culture Digital, you know, they've been with us. You've seen the episodes. They've produced great episodes. Exemplary work. So, please check out Hit Culture Digital with the K. Don't forget. hitculturedigital.com. So check them out. Utilize their services. They've been good to us. They're about business. Hitculturedigital with the K.com. All right, let's go and get it on. Let's get it on popping. So we got Tracy Scott, and like I said, good friend. I like Tracy. You know, she has been in the political space for a while. She is very authentic. She is very passionate about issues that impact in the various communities overall. And so, you know, first thing we want to know is just give the people the introduction about you and the Black Women's PAC.
Thank you. And thank you for inviting me to be here. E&J, I like it. You know,
we do what we can.
Yeah, okay, right. Well, it's representative, so I thank you. That's good. So the Black Women's PAC, this is our fourth year. I founded the Black Women's PAC in 2018. I am very clear and had experience in knowing the needs of Black women who are running for office, how difficult it is to raise money, not only from our community, but from others, and campaigns cost. So, you know, really looking at the disparities in campaign finance reports, which is what, you know, all of the dollars are collected on this report that comes out, and just saying, you know, anywhere from a 20 to a 50 to a, you know, $100,000 gap in Black women running and white women running or Hispanic women running in the same seat. The Black Women's PAC is a space that can raise money and help Black women across the state. So we can help raise money for candidates. And we can also help bring out the Black vote. We like to, you know, talk directly to Black women about the issues that affect Black women. But I don't think that that alienates any other group. I don't think that there's any issue that comes about truly if it's about a working family scenario that doesn't cross the table of a Black woman. So that's why, you know, I founded the Black Women's PAC. And next year is our fifth year, 2022. So hopefully, thank you very much.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
Yeah.
5-year anniversary. So, you know, looking to do much, you know, bigger things in 2022. So, yeah, thank you.
All right, great. So let's just start talking about Black women in politics. So share with us overall the impact that Black women have and continue to have in state and national elections. Sometimes people forget that Black women play a huge role in it and help pushing to make positive change and electing people. Can you remind people, or at least educate people, on the impact of Black women overall in state and national elections?
Well, you know, it's been said a trillion times that, you know, Black women are the backbone of the Democratic Party, and we are the largest voting, you know, bloc that comes out and elects everyone, no matter what culture, what background you come from. Our vote in the Democratic Party is what gets you elected, primarily. Now it's time for us to start moving and evolving, and that not being our only contribution to politics. So, again, you know, circling back to the Black Women's PAC and to other PACs that, you know, here in the state of Texas and across the country, that are now, you know, helping Black women move and evolve and become candidates and then elected officials, and then moving into staff space. So, you know, we want Black women that are campaign managers and legislative directors and chiefs of staff. So, you know, no matter what color you are, when you are elected, there should be a Black woman on your staff. If you are a Democrat, you should there should be a Black woman somewhere in your sphere of operation, be it in your district office or in your, you know, state office or federal office. If we are the ones that are getting you elected, then the opportunity should be there for us to, you know, move into the next phase. But yeah, I just, you know, I can't say enough about, you know, and I think that everyone understands and sees, but maybe not recognize immediately, that Black women change the landscape. You know, we are the leaders of, you know, we lead our families, we lead at the church, you know, on the PTA, you know, in the schools. We are leading in every segment that covers a male and female in other cultures. So there is no way that you miss a black woman when you're talking about finance, when you're talking about economics, when you're talking about healthcare, when you're talking about employment, when you're talking about student loan debt, when you're talking about going to college. You don't miss the table of a black woman. So I think that there should be definitely a larger concentration of our representation when laws are being made, when the discussion is being had. And again, back to me running for office, that's, another reason why I'm running for office, because, and we represent working families. Black women primarily represent working families. And when you start, again, talking about the healthcare disparity, when you talk about, maternal mortality, when you're talking about student loan debt, all of those numbers, black women. Those are the things that impact our lives and prevent us from being, exemplary mothers. And no, I'm not taking that back. And please, mothers out there, don't get mad and say that you are, because there are some of us who are and can't afford to do so. But, and I just think that there is not, there's not a space that we don't belong in. And there's not a reason why you should not engage with black women when you are making decisions about the lives of any American.
All right.
That's deep. Yeah. I got a question for you on that, kind of related. So when we look at, the history of black women in politics, it would often be said that black men have not necessarily supported as much, or perhaps we've been antagonistic in some ways. What are ways, in your opinion, that black men can step up and support black women in leadership roles in politics so that we can see black women, we can work as a team, because I think a lot of times it's kind of like, okay, well, who we're going to put out there? We're going to put the Barack Obama, we're going to put Kamala Harris, and we know we're going to talk about that, right? Yeah. But it should be a team, type concept. We should be working together. So how can we do that?
I don't want to put it all back on black men, but I would ask that black men see themselves as leaders in different spaces.
Okay.
That you redefine what that looks like. And it doesn't necessarily take us man against woman. That there is a leadership role in still providing for your family, but the wife does, a job that requires more attention. There is a leadership role in sustaining your community and being there as, a PTA dad. And being at the school and supporting the kids, like the story of the brothers that came to the school and now they got the dad's group. Well, what if one of their wives is an elected official? What if one of their wives is a CEO? But the black men stepped up and now they're leaders in their community. They're leaders for other kids who don't have dads. Yeah. And so I think that there is just an idea or something to consider is that professionalism, it should not be, a professional career should not be a defining moment for our relationship. It should not be something that decides who's man of the house.
Gotcha.
And in this day, does that really exist? You have to honestly say, if both parents are working and everybody's bringing equal amount of money into the house, what is man of the house really? It's not the 50s where you had the man going out to work and he.
I might argue with you on that a little bit, but I get your sentiment.
And don't get me, my sentiment for real. I mean, there's still the structure of there's still that. I don't take that away, but it goes a little bit further than that. It plays out into what the perception is into and we worry a lot about what people think. We worry a lot about what people think rather than what works for us.
That's real. And it's a case by case situation.
Yes, as a case by case And, just to throw it out there, Will and Jada is the perfect example.
The red table. You're going to promote the club now.
Wait, but that's what works for them. I mean, don't they look happy? They're both living their best life.
I don't know.
All couples look happy.
I don't know.
He's got his book coming out.
Yeah.
Yes. All couples, you got to figure out what your mix is. Works for you. And we cannot allow what the 50s and how it was defined by white culture. What works for black people, because we don't have the advantages of white culture. That's not our life. That's not our experience. Right. So if that's not our life and not our experience, then we need to start challenging ourselves to adapt to what is our structure. And then go with that, because I think we would be stronger if we did. I think there would be a lot less, fewer single women by far. But, I don't know, the incarceration rate is kind of high. But we're going to let that go, too, because the statistics say that's not really true. But, okay. But, I just think we need to start looking at, what is the structure for us? What works for us?
Gotcha. What's your thoughts about the anti-abortion law? So you had Texas pass their anti-abortion law earlier. You got everybody's waiting for the case in Mississippi. What are your thoughts overall on this anti-abortion law impacts, especially with black women?
First I want to say is, the struggle is real. Huh? That 2030 scares people a lot, doesn't it? Those numbers are really a big deal. And, when you start passing, anti-abortion laws and the woman doesn't even know if she's pregnant yet. And, when you say pro-life, so where are we at on, again, drunk driving? Where are we at on the death penalty? Where are we at? Where's the pro-life? Where are we at on health care? Texas ranks 47th in health care. So if you're pro-life, where's your health care? Where's the health care? Where's the access to, health services, equitable and accessible and affordable and, all of those buzzwords that we use. But when we start talking about gun violence and abortion, all of a sudden it don't count. For black women, yes. When you start looking at, if you're not going to, again, fix health care, then you are looking at black women having more babies and then more susceptible to maternal mortality rates. Then those rates can go up. And then you're also looking at black women who have, because we're allowed to make mistakes. We're human. We're having a human experience. And that anti-abortion law is trying to control our human experience. And you're trying to control our body. And I'm property? I don't think so. I'm not a house, a car. You don't control, that's not working unless well, anyway. I don't know. I think that it's a desperate attempt to save yourself and disregard the lives of others.
I know we're waiting for the decision in the Supreme Court to happen with the Texas case, and then we know the Mississippi case will come in. But is there anything that, anything that you feel like black women can do, or not only black women? I want to make it seem like this is only an issue for black women or women in general. I mean, there's advocates who are who are.
We all share the the burden of this law. So it's not just black women. But however, black women, in our instance, from what I understand, it's, where we have one kid, two kids, we got pregnant for the third time, and that's the one that we don't want. So now I already have two kids. I'm most likely am a single mother. Now I have this third. So now I'm, for lack of a better term, and no offense to life and to a child, but I'm now strapped with another kid. I don't have the option of determining for my life and the two that I already have what's next. Just, and it's life, it's mistakes, it's errors, and I don't know.
I have to tread lightly on the abortion issue because as a man, I think a lot of times we inject ourselves in a conversation and we don't know what women go through having children and going through a pregnancy. But this is something that I think about with just, I guess, from a strategic standpoint of, looking at what black people can do and whatnot. If our population, and I really want to know what you think about this, if our population numbers were to increase, right, let's just, in theory, let's just say black people got to, 20, 30% of the population, would that not help us a little bit politically?
When those kids can vote.
Okay.
So you're waiting on 19 years,
Well, you just said 2030, and that was another thing. So 2030 is, let's be clear. So 2030 is when the majority will happen.
Conversation
and
switches.
So right. And so many I'll say people from the dominant society, white individuals, are afraid of that, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean for black people, though, because the numbers are really based on the Hispanic population sort of increasing. So in some ways, I wonder if, and I totally agree with, I think, women having the right to decide what happens with their body. You're going. But I do think there is something to be said about we do need more numbers. We need more black babies to be.
I agree with you.
In the right situation, though.
Right situation. So now, you've just made it a woman have a baby. Did you tack onto that the guy has to immediately start child support?
That's the other
that?
thing. My sister was talking to me about
I'm
this.
sorry. Where's the guy? Where is he at? Where's the man? Where's the father? Do they immediately start paying child support? Because that is an expense on the mom. And it makes it only her problem until you have the child.
Yep.
So now she has to have health care. She has to take off work. And now she has to start buying new things for the new baby. Plus, she already got two, so she's already paying daycare or doing whatever it is you do with your life.
Yep.
So what happens, where is this financially? So now let me ask you this. Okay, so good. We have more numbers. Are those more numbers that don't have health care? Are those numbers of kids that are still in the schools that have, a problem with a third grade reading level?
So can I answer that real quick? I use the test case as the Hispanic population. For better or for worse, however you come out on the matter, we have a lot of individuals who are not citizens, right? But they are certainly going to play a role and be influential in politics and elections and voting. And so, part of me is like, you bring up a good point, but then part of me thinks, get the numbers and worry about it later. Because once the numbers are here, you can't really just ignore, if you're 30% of the population, you can't ignore the needs of black people like you can if we're 14%.
I wish I knew the number of black men who don't vote. I swear. I can't think of it right now. I wish I knew the number of black people who don't vote. I ran into 4 women out dinner last night. They are from Virginia. Virginia just is having the hottest race in the country. It's the one being watched by all.
Yeah.
I asked them, I said, ooh, y'all are from Virginia? That vote is really tight. Y'all are still counting votes. And they were clueless. And when the woman walked away, she goes, yeah, all of them, they ain't nothing. They ain't doing they're doing no good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but those are the people that the pillow you sleep on is government regulated. The tires you drive.
Yeah.
Everything you do.
Yeah. But I will say this. I mean, I know we're talking about Hispanics, overwhelming majority of them Latinos, all of them were, citizens. We know that, in this country.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure. Yeah. But the other thing we got to talk
PC, but go ahead.
I'm also trying to keep it statistic. I was trying to keep it accurate too. Yeah,
that's a good point.
Okay, but I think the other thing too, we got to be mindful of. We talk about numbers. Ideally, what I love more black. Of course, more black folks. We think around 14% black population. I think it's 46 million black folks in this country, right? Around that number. But here's the reality. Like Tracy's bringing some good points. All right, you want to have more for the numbers, right? So are you going to provide a better lifestyle? Are you going to increase their income? Are you going to make their pay equals closer to white folks in corporate America so they can sustain that family? Okay, and in case they don't, and they say we got to adopt, we can't take the kid in, then they go in the system. So for you saying I want the numbers, that means they're putting the system. We don't know how they're going to come out. You pray that in 18 years they come out sane and out of the system, so you can therefore say, oh, we got more black folks.
Okay, I'm going to say something about that though. A lot of black kids are taken by the system not because their parents are really inept at taking care of their children, but because there's some laws that got reported, something happens, and so the system comes and gets the kids. So this, because the image that's put out with a lot of black kids that are in foster care or whatever is that it's like, oh, you just had this black family or black woman or whatever that wasn't taking care of their child, and so now this is that's not really.
I'm not saying
that happens with black people.
I'm not saying majority. I'm just saying there are cases out there where you got black women say, you know what, I cannot afford to take care of a child, right, and they may want to put them in the system. You hope that maybe there's an opportunity for grandma.
Exception, or are we going with what happens most of the time?
The scenario that you're given, though, to be honest, does not include the abortions that you can't have.
Okay. Walk me through.
Now you've doubled the children.
Right. Because
so now are they still just coming and taking the kids because something has happened? Or are we dropping them off because we can't take it no more?
Well, I mean,
are we leaving them with somebody? Or, we don't have the scenario of the babies that will be born because of the abortion law. So we don't know what that effect is on the family. So to use what is currently happening and to use numbers that's current, it doesn't apply.
Do we not have a culture though of black people of where wherever the child may be born, whatever the circumstances, we take children in, we raise them, we rear them, and they get what they need. I think that's a general thing that I have seen in all black cultures, be it African black cultures, African American black cultures, Caribbean black cultures. So this idea that these children won't have a home, I think that's a little.
So Jeremy, you bring this idea.
Yeah.
How are you going to provide the income? You're going to give them the jobs that's going to help them support those additional kids.
What kind of home?
Seriously, like
Jeremy,
you
have to disagree.
So,
yeah.
Okay.
What kind of home
What are you
talking about here? Because if you are already talking about, and the convenience store, let's just say the convenience store. So let's say the people who actually shop for groceries in the convenience store. Mm-hmm. So now you've got 2 more kids and you're shopping for you're already shopping in the convenience store for groceries. You already live in a food desert. You're already in an apartment complex that's already paying. And I mean, this is not to say that even if you're, me, I'm a professional woman. I had 1 daughter,
Right.
Mm-hmm. And my daughter was all I could manage. That is true.
Here's the point with that though, right? So one, we can look at different countries around the world and how, you have families or single mothers who are managing to raise many children with far less resources, far less, at their disposal, right? Mm-hmm. The other thing is when you look at the rates of black women who are, we will say middle class, right? I think the Pew Research Center did a study about this, and the birth rate or the number of children that, this particular demographic of black women is having is even lower than in what it is for their white counterparts or other counterparts. So those women actually can afford to have more children. They actually can support it because this has been adjusted for income. This has been adjusted for where they are in their career and looking at the number of children that they're having average wise. So if, and I hate to be the elitist, but if the right type of people, so to speak, have more children, which they actually could afford it, right? Then we have a conversation, I think. Now, I get the whole point. Do they want to have children? That's the other thing.
Those are the ones that can drive to another state and have an abortion. So I don't think that they actually fall into this.
That's real.
Well, what do we want to be as black people? Do we want to be free or do we want to be?
No, we want to actually start taking an inward look at how we operate, and how we do, and how we treat one another, and where our accountability is.
Last thing we want
and that these mistakes are being made by the man and the woman, and we want to really have that, that kind of introspective.
So y'all think
take on ourselves. We got to start thinking
with
about
15% of the population, we can really change things for black people. 15%.
Let's circle back around to getting elected.
Yeah.
Let's circle back around to that.
Which, if you have the numbers, then
I don't know the numbers.
It's going to naturally increase.
I don't think you just add numbers and say everything's just going to get better.
I think it will. I absolutely think it will. I don't think it may not increase proportionally, but I think it will.
That's like saying because of the country becoming minority, all of a sudden Democrats about to sweep through. No, it doesn't mean anything. Life is complicated.
That's what a lot of Democrats are projecting.
And that's for the Democrats to say that's naive.
So now I'm starting. Now that's. I just think that's dangerous.
I got you. It is dangerous. I hear you.
Because
it's definitely dangerous.
I relate it to this. Here you go. I relate it to this. I relate it to term limits, short-term limits. Okay, I relate it to short-term limits. When you say somebody can only be elected for 3 2-year terms, that's 6 years. And when you're doing that, and we are already working with a shallow pool. So now, what happens when you are out of people? Honesty. To run for office. What does that look like? Yeah. And I mean, you should never say you're out, but people aren't interested. Public office is not a lot of money. Yep. So people who are willing to actually serve, take the pay cut, dedicate their lives to doing this, the pool gets shallow.
Yep.
So if you start just throwing numbers in and be like, oh yeah, if we get more people, we get, more elected officials, the pool is going to be shallow.
Yep. So let's take a break because this is good. Ooh, I love it. I love this energy. So when we come back, we want to hear from Tracy about Kamala Harris, our Vice President of the United States. So stay tuned. Stay tuned on the Shot of E&J podcast.